living with my sister a little bit, and she had so many characteristics like my mom that I was willing to like find anything at that moment. So I found like this cute, where I am now. I think I've been here almost like 2 years, but it's like this cute little 2-bedroom 2-bathroom place with a little backyard. And I was gonna have the room for my office, but then she started treating like my brother bad, and they got into their own issues. So I was like, I'm not picking any sides because I'm not physically there, because I don't pick sides if I'm not physically in the room, because I don't know the case of whatever. So I was just like, well, he can come live with me. And so he lives with me now, and so that's that. He lives here with me. My husband is still away, stationed somewhere. So mind you, let me see. We haven't lived together. Like, he'll come home and visit, or even when I was in Texas and we were reconciling, whatever, he would come out and visit and stuff, but we have not lived together for a good 3 or 4 years. And that's pretty much our whole marriage, because we got married in 2012. This is 2017, so we'll be married for 5 years in August. And you're probably thinking, like, how can you guys go through all of these things and still make, that's, people always ask, how do you guys go through all of this and still make it last? And like I said, there was always that voice in the back of my head that was like, no, you don't want to get a divorce, no, you don't want to get a divorce, no, no, no. And it was like, I made a pros and a cons list, and it was like the pros outweighed the cons, but it was, like I said, it was still like, no, you don't want to get a divorce and stuff like that. So fast forward to 2016, I ended up getting so I was doing YouTube, but I was like, this takes too much time, too much this and that. And the only reason I'm doing this because I'm putting this out before my book, a month before my book launch. I sort of like my campaign, like, who is Jasmine Barton more? So I had my foot surgery because I had one of those nasty bunions. So I had that, and then I was like, well, let me go and finish this book that I was writing, this romance book that I was writing. So I finished it, and I was like, oh, okay, well. And then I would put some of the chapters out on my Facebook page, and I was like, okay, well, people are really liking my reading and stuff like that. So let me go the extra step and let me go and see about publishing. So then I looked into self-publishing. So I looked into the self-publishing, and I was like, okay, well, let me begin to edit it. And so I edited my book until I no longer could read it anymore. So then I gave it to my friend, which I call her my manager, even though she hasn't really technically accepted the position, but I just call her my manager because I like to speak things into existence. I guess I should rewind before writing that book. So let's go ahead and rewind, not so much the year, but rewind a little bit before I finished that book. I do hope that when I edit this, it's not that hard because it's all over the place. But anyways, so my younger sister kept like asking me to go to her church. And I felt some type of way about church from my childhood because my mom was married to a minister who was cheating. So I felt some way about the way church was ran and pastors and all that stuff. So I was like, no, not going to church. She'll ask me every single Sunday, nope, not going to church. And then Easter Sunday, she was like, well, it's Easter, do you want to go to church? And I don't know, there was something inside me where I was like, sure, I'll just go to church. You keep asking me anyways, why not? Let's go to church. So I went to church, and mind you, I hadn't been in a church house probably since I was like 16. So here I am like 24. So it's been a minute since I've been in a church house, and I grew up in church. So I went to church, and the pastor, well, my pastor now, was basically saying like the sermon was, well, his first words was like, I'm not going to preach the normal Easter Sunday about Jesus Christ and resurrection and all that other stuff. I'm going to preach about how people are afraid to go to the church house because pastors, oh, it's a squirrel, how pastors aren't doing what they're supposed to do with their congregation, or how pastors are allowing their ministers to cheat on their wives with people in the church house and thinking that it's normal and stuff like that. That squirrel, I'm like, please, don't come in here. But anyways, and stuff like that. And it was like he was speaking to me, because that's why I stayed away from the church house for so long, because here we were, my mom was married to a minister and he was cheating, but the pastor was allowing it, like as if it was okay. And I was like, why am I going to church if the person we're supposed to look up to is allowing all of this stuff? Because even though I'm a child, I still see everything through the eyes of a child. So that's why I never really went to church. That's why I stopped going to church. So it was like he was preaching to me, like, so then I was like, so then the next Sunday my brother was like, are we going to church? And I was like, yeah, I really feel that I need to go back. Like I want to hear more. like I was like excited to go back to church, because he was speaking to me. And it was so crazy, because after all of these trials and tribulations and stuff that I've gone through in my life, it was like he was cleaning me up. Like he was removing the bad food from my life, he was removing the alcohol, he was removing the toxins, the toxic people from my life. And he was preparing me for this one Easter Sunday, which was I think 2016. Yeah, he was preparing me for this Easter Sunday. So I went back the next Sunday. And then they and then I went back the next Sunday, and that's when one of the ministers ministered to me about being baptized and all of this other stuff. So my church is the apostolic church, which they believe in the Holy Ghost. So I got baptized, and then I remember I was still like having issues. Like I hold on to so much stuff on my shoulders. So I remember like going up there and telling them like all my problems, and they began to pray for me. And then something like started to build up, and the tears started to come. And that's when I became filled with the Holy Ghost, where it was like I had a connection with God, and I was able to speak to him about everything. And it was literally like everything from my childhood all the way up to I was 24 had been lifted off of my shoulder, and it just felt so amazing. like it was like so like it was like the most amazing thing that's ever happened in my life, because I was like, oh my God, like whew. So anywho, so that